And a lot of projects that the ETP and what is doing, there's a lot of infrastructure projects coming. We are getting foreign consultants coming here unheeded, right? Because we don't have rules and regulations to govern them. So this is the issue that we are facing. And yet, we have been told that we are very limited. We have been very, very liberal, it is a fact. More liberal than most countries. I just came back from Africa, Morocco, and there's a big uproar over there. Because why? The consultants coming to Nigeria, Republic of Congo, they come in unheeded because on the pretext of foreign direct investment. The consultants, engineers, architects, project managers are all imported lock, stock and barrel from the United States, from Europe, from China, on the pretext of FDIs. But this is not correct because the local fellows are being sidelined and don't even observe the rules that is required for them to practice. So this is the issue. So I think the international community must realize there are rules and regulations that govern professional practice, right? In order to protect the public interest, the local culture, environment, what have you. This is the major crux that we are facing. And that's why, even in the DDA, issues like this have been brought up. There is an imbalance. We talk about, I remember people were talking about level playing field, right? In negotiations. The fields are never level. They might be flat, but they're tilted, right, to one side. So this is the issue. So Malaysia now is going towards 2020 in order for it to be what we call a developed status. And we are embarking on a lot of projects. We have now to open up, but we have to open up in a very, very structured manner. Right? You have to observe the local requirements, right? You have to observe the local laws, and just like when we have to go to other countries. I cannot walk into Australia, I cannot walk into the United States, or UK, or what have you. Even the French are not allowed to practice in UK if they don't observe the local domestic regulations. That is what we all allow. So we just have to respect that, that's all. Within ASEAN region, we have come to a consensus. And within APEC, we have come to a consensus that for whoever wants to cross border, they have to observe the local requirement. And that local requirement includes, which is already in the MRA, in ASEAN, collaboration with local. Right? So we are very transparent as far as that's concerned. When we talk about transparency, some countries say they are very, very liberal, but when you walk in, you're going to face a lot of problems. Right? So because why? The domestic rules and regulations is very strict. I cannot go into China and practice unless I team up with a local district design department, right, which is stable, and that is a fact. Right? I have practiced there, I have worked there, and this is a fact. And we've been foolhardy for us to walk and do it independently. There's no such thing as being independent. You've got to observe the local, and Malaysia is being very transparent, okay, and ASEAN has been being transparent also in that sense, because why? In our MRA, we state very clearly for all architects or engineers or what have you to practice in each other member states, they have to collaborate. And that is also why we agree in APEC. So this is something that, so don't misunderstand us, right? So what you have presented just now, right, it is not totally correct. Right? This is a fact. And it happens in your country, it also happens in other countries, in Africa, India, China, what have you. It's the same. Right? Thank you.
Government, and actually she worked for the EU delegation in Jakarta previously, so she actually can see probably both sides of the coin here. So I'm very pleased to introduce Ms. Asa Larsson. Thank you.
you very much for your introduction, Mr. Chairman, and for this possibility to participate in the panel. Logistics services in Malaysia contribute, I think, roughly a bit more than 3% of GDP, but the actual contribution is much, much larger. Logistics services are trade enablers and facilitators of trade, and do help companies reduce their costs and ensure timeliness delivery to the markets. Logistics services or transport services is not just about transporting something from A to B, it's about the speed, it's about the reliability, and it's about how much it costs. And also nowadays, increasingly, how innovative the services are. Can we as logistics service providers adapt to what the customers need from us in various sectors? In terms of quality of logistics services, I would say both in a global and a regional perspective, Malaysia fares very well. It's consistently ranked number 2 in the ASEAN perspective. Very hard to beat Singapore as a logistics hub for various reasons, geographical being only one of them. But both in logistics performance indexes and doing business indices. ASEAN also has put logistics and connectivity as a critical priority issue for regional integration. There are several blueprints in place to improve connectivity and to spur economic integration within ASEAN. And those blueprints include a number of issues such as liberalization of logistics services, harmonization of customs procedures, and harmonization of cross-border road transport, which are some of the very important issues that I will discuss today. So I will base basically my introduction here a little bit on the regional perspective, as Malaysia wants to establish itself as a regional hub within ASEAN. First of all, if we come to FDI rules, as Mr. Pascal Kenais said before, if a company cannot fully control its investment, it's not interesting, and you will see that you invest less, and so also for logistics services naturally. There is an aim within ASEAN to liberalize logistics services by next year, 2030, but in fact, due to the ASEAN -X formula and the lack of enforcement mechanism in ASEAN, very few countries will actually meet this target. We are very pleased to note that Malaysia has announced the unilateral liberalization of logistics services. However, there's one crucial subsector of logistics services, you can say, where it's a bit unclear if this will also be included in these commitments, and that's on customs brokerage services, which is a very important subsector of logistics. Another issue within ASEAN is cross-border road transport, particularly for this part of ASEAN. Road transports today, cargo road transports, is very much underutilized, and we see it as part of our business. It's relatively small. It is increasing, but it's still from a very small base. Only a couple of years ago, you had to, at every border crossing, you had to offload all the cargo from your trailer and change both truck, trailer and driver at each and every border in ASEAN. You can imagine how much extra time that takes and the costs. When I first learned this, I was astonished how this could happen. Today, it's not the same situation. A lot of things have developed, but we do have to, at every border crossing, change truck and driver. Also, customs procedures and the transit documentation is not harmonized, so it takes actually quite a lot of time, that the cargo has to spend at the border. So, and what does this lead to? This leads to that a lot of cargo is transported instead by air, which is of course much more expensive than road transport. And who suffers in the end is the consumers. The consumers, the price of the products get higher. One crucial issue also is customs procedures, where there's been a lot of work done in ASEAN, and there's a collaboration ongoing between the customs authorities in ASEAN. Some of the important aspects for logistics providers to be able to support, whether it's manufacturing, agricultural or services sector, is a well-functioning customs authority which is responsive to today's needs of tight warehouse management, of just-in-time deliveries, where companies need to have as little goods as possible in the warehouse. And timeliness to market is critical. If you don't manage to deliver your goods on time to your customers, then you will lose that deal. If you cannot send in your samples on time, someone else will get that deal. It's as simple as that. And customs, they play a critical part in this. First and foremost, a 24/7 operation is critical, both in seaports and in airports. That means that customs authorities and all other related authorities are available on a 24-hour basis, because that's when cargo deliveries happen. It's around the clock. And the government agencies must be responsive to this environment as well. Something else that helps up to speed up customs clearance is automated procedures, where we see in the more competitive countries, basically all of the interaction with customs is done on an electronic basis, whether it's payment of customs duties or submission of documents. It's done electronically. Here in Malaysia, there is an IT system, but it's very, very old. It dates back to 1985, and it breaks down very often, which hampers, of course, the operations. You have to go back to manual handling. I know that the government has made some announcement to upgrade the system, but this is really imperative. What we have also been working on, which is particularly important for the time-sensitive express delivery services, where customers pay a premium for fast and reliable services, is the implementation of a so-called de minimis baseline. Basically, it provides simplified customs procedures and duty relief for goods of very low value. There is a balance between how much duties you actually collect on some goods, on some products, and what it actually costs with all the administrations around it. For instance, on a pencil or a sample or a product that costs maybe $30, you will collect very little duties. So it actually costs more to have a customs official to fill in the papers, to do the customs valuation and so on, both from the business side and from the customs side. In Malaysia, this de minimis threshold is 500 ringgit, so all goods below 500 ringgit, no duties are collected, and there's a simplified procedure. I think ASEAN would benefit a lot if there was a uniform de minimis baseline, and in some countries, for instance, there is no de minimis baseline at all, so they collect duties on some products that cost $1. What we instead advocate for is a risk-based approach, so that you don't, first of all, that you implement the de minimis baseline, and that manual inspections are reduced, and that you focus on high-risk cargo from high-risk countries rather than targeting the good boys, let's say. Security issues are becoming increasingly prominent on the agenda on the trade, which affects trade flows a lot. After the 9/11 events in the US and the Yemen bombs a few years ago, this has become even more important. But it's equally important to find a balance between trade facilitation and cargo security issues. It does not make sense simply to screen all cargo, because there's actually very little risk in general, so it's not worthwhile to block all trade for some very few risky shipments. So it's better to do risk management or risk assessment prior to the goods being loaded.